Hi folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I talk about soft plastics, and again, I know we've talked about this a lot, but this is a big part of what all of us use for tackle now. We've gone away from live bait so much through the decades that now it's all artificial lures, and soft plastics have really kind of taken over because you can do so much with those plastics. But there's a couple of tails that we talk about. I talk all the time about a paddle tail plastic. And let's envision, if we can, a 3-inch long piece of narrow plastic that is shaped like a little shiner, like a little fish, but its tail is made into a paddle type arrangements. So as that goes through the water, it's going to go through the water in a certain way with that tail wobbling back and forth, and it's swimming like its hips are moving. Another type of plastic tail doesn't have a paddle. It has either it's straight back and tapered to a point, or it could have a split tail, but it's still very narrow. That's going to go through the water completely differently. That's going to make that whole bait swim with not nearly as much motion, and it's also going to fall differently. When you cast it out, it's going to fall more quickly to the bottom because the paddle actually is resistant, and it will make that bait fall slower. So what do you want? A faster falling bait or a slower? Well, the fish will react to one more than the other. And my point here is you shouldn't, I shouldn't say shouldn't. I shouldn't tell you how to fish, really. I can give you tips, but we all have to fish in our own way. But I guess what I'm trying to say, and I'll use that word shouldn't, you shouldn't restrict yourself to just getting locked into one bait. And most of us do that. I tend to do that. But on one day, that paddle tail may be just a killer. It may become your favorite thing. But on another day, it may not work as well. And if the fish are responding to a different type of movement in the water, they may be responding more to things that are moving along the bottom than swimming away. So by using that fork tail or straight tail, it'll fall quicker to the bottom. The fish will be orienting more towards seeing it down there, and you can bring it in differently. There's so many different ways to make your soft plastic appear attractive to a fish in the water. And I think it's important to talk about that because the way you hook it up is going to make a difference. You can put it on a jig head, and that gives it weight, allows you to cast it, and it sort of gives it balance as it's coming through the water. But you may want to rig it on a Texas rig, just single hook. That's going to make it look completely different. It's going to make it more snag resistant, so it will help you fish in deeper cover areas, but it's going to look completely different. But you can also use something else. You can put it on the back of a chatterbait or a spinnerbait. Now it becomes what they call a trailer. Now you have a whole nother way of bringing your bait through the water, a whole different look to that same plastic bait. You can use it as on a drop shot where you just hook it through the lip and you let the sinker go along the bottom. And then with your drop shot hook, it's going to look completely different again. It's going to quiver with the slightest little bit of current or anything. It may look more natural. But right now, what I've shown you is you can take one bait, let's say 3-inch plastic shiner-looking bait, and you can fish it in so many different ways, and each way is going to give the fish a different look. And I think that's something important for us to think of. I didn't even mention a Carolina rig. Years ago, that was one of the hot new ways that people would fish, but a Carolina rig is nothing but like an egg sinker tied on your line, and then you at the end of that, it's got a little swivel, and you tie a whole nother length of leader to it, and then without any weight on it, you attach your plastic bait, either with a hook or in some manner. You could even have it wacky rigged where you hook it in the middle. So there's so many ways to fish our lures, and we could write an encyclopedia about it, but I wanted you to all be aware that when you go in the store and you see these plastic baits, just start using your imagination, and you can make them look as differently as your mind can envision. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.